Hey, it's the Tarot Counselor. We're going to do a reading today on this controversial documentary called The Plandemic, kind of a conspiracy theory type documentary behind the coronavirus pandemic we're experiencing. And so we're going to do some kind of insight and understanding as to how this became a thing, basically, just trying to give some real background on why uh, this is kind of going as rampant as it is. It's almost spreading faster. So, first card we have here is the death card. We're going to ignore all the real, truly the plague imagery that's in the card for a moment, but really the death card is really about, it represents, Pluto and astrology. So, this is like a 9 in numerology. So, this is endings of cycles. That's kind of like symbolizing to me, as we kind of hunker down the loss of normal life that we had it. So it's kind of the ending of the normal life or the freedoms that people felt like they had. A lot of things we even took for granted that we didn't know we were taking for granted in the moment. And so then I think that's why it kind of feels like everyone is experiencing this huge set of grief, I think is the best word to describe it right now, where you're not quite sure what to do. And so that's kind of, I think, we'll come back to some of the imagery here in the death card to kind of wrap up the total reading. But the next card is the Wheel of Fortune. So a lot of people associate this with almost like destiny, or kind of seeing Wheel of Fortune, like what's the ups and downs that the future may have for you and what's coming to you. I see that in this one is almost a sense of a lack of control, because there's another concept of like predestination that kind of plagued some early astrology and stuff like that. As, are your stars an influence to you, or are you completely controlled by them and you have absolutely no free will? And I think for those, this to me, this is kind of a really important card. When I think about these types of documentaries or conspiracy theories, I think you have people feeling almost out of control, that like there's almost like, and then not just an element of fate, but people really feel like they don't have control over the situations. So it's not just a grief that they're feeling from the loss of the freedoms or the life that they had, but they feel like it's completely out of control. And I think a lot of people struggle with the idea that it could be something as simple as a virus that we don't think about in our day-to-day life that has caused all this havoc and taken this away from us. So that's where I think some of the ideas of some people struggle with that concept of feeling that things are so much out of their control that something like a virus could cause this, that they really look for a earthly man-made kind of solution. That's where some of these conspiracy theories kind of get popular, because now you can blame it on humans, individuals, and say that there's some kind of big plan behind it all, or a big, this was planned and someone's in control, someone's pulling the strings. And if it's not having the intended consequences, that at least you are putting the control of the situation into the hands of the humans. And at that point, maybe if you can control those humans, you can get a different outcome. Whereas if you believe the other said, the scientific view of it, which is this is just viruses and bacteria and this is what's going to happen, then you feel like, well, there is no way to quote unquote control that, because we can't control viruses. But if you think that that's an individual or some mastermind genius plan, that at least gives you the sense of control, like, okay, at least some humans are in control over this and I can try to control them. And I think that brings some people a sense of comfort, as possibly as one of the reasons why that this would kind of become a popular conspiracy that travels so much. Because if you're experiencing tons of grief and you're already emotional, and you feel like, a lot of people talk about, like, if you have that, like, what are the things you can control? If this is truly not an area or a thing that you can control, then you're going to be very frustrated and almost feeling even a greater sense of loss. So then, the next card here, which is have the Five of Swords, that's why I believe conspiracy theories or documentaries like these are really about winning the battle but losing the war, which is kind of what the Five of Swords symbolizes. Because you kind of get in this loop. Five in numerology is all about change, and this one you have to change the way you're thinking or the way you're communicating. Because if you really believe that you can, in the short term, it may seem like a great idea and help you overcome your grief and your lack of control, is to blame it on someone and then feel like, okay, I've won the battle. I at least have put this out there that there is some kind of grand scheme beyond my control, and other people are doing this to me. But in reality, in the long term, that make you feel good in the short term, but long term, you're gonna have to change the way you're thinking, because the longer and longer this goes, the more we strip down and bare bones, and you realize it's not going to be under anyone's specific control. So you're going to have no greater influence into it, and you're going to be in this pattern where you're going to kind of still feel like things are out of control, and you still have a loss, and there's really no one to blame or no one to point fingers at to. So I think that's why in the Five of Swords you've got like winning the battle, blues in the war kind of context, because anytime you see clouds in the tarot that says not all the information is available to you, some of it is hidden. Wearing a green tunic, green obviously associates with kind of being on your life path, and the red kind of being following your passions. So I think this kind of tells you, if you feel like this is taking you off of your life path, and your only way, your passionate way to try to figure out a way back is to blame somebody, and it makes you feel good in the short term, but that's not really going to help you out and benefit you in the long term. Towards the back half, I think there are some positive signs, if there ever could be any positive signs of any kind of pandemic. I think lots of people, those who don't feel completely out of control or feel like they need to artificially come up with other reasons to make them feel like there is some kind of control, at least human level control. You have a lot of people right now kind of feeling torn between two worlds, like the hanged man, so kind of between the earthly world and the spiritual plane. You're either hunkering down, sheltering at home, and living a different life than you can, or if you go outside and try to live a more normal life, that's totally different. Lots of things are closed, people wearing masks. It's just a bizarro world from what everyone knows. Can you feel stuck between these two worlds, almost like living in a cave, or going out into this kind of bizarro post-apocalyptic world? But I think what that's good is causing people, and everyone talks about, we just want things to go back to normal. But I think this last card here kind of tells you that's not the case. Is if you feel stuck between these two worlds, you're going to do hopefully some inner reflection and kind of thinking of what are the things I do want to become normal versus what are the things that I'm happy to let go. And that's where I think where the Eight of Cups comes in, is a lot of people who are going to come out of this. And I think hopefully broadly the large economies hope that we just kind of go back to our normal consumerism behavior as we was before. But I think a lot of people are going to be, the Eight of Cups is really kind of almost a spiritual calling or feeling of wanting for more. You can see the cups. You've got lots of cups there, but he's kind of walking away from it into the distance, heading towards the blue sky, which deals with your emotions, heading towards the moon, which is, related to water signs. You got blue water in the background. All these things are related to your emotions. So it's like, as you've had this time at home and really had things taken from you, now's your opportunity to think, what are the things I want to put back, or what are the things I want to do? And I think in a crisis mode, where people have lots of loss, people aren't going to go back to completely normal. They're going to try to think, what are the things that I can do differently? Some people may want to choose different careers or move to different cities, or as things open up, they may be more extroverted than they were at home because they really realized how much they took for granted, how much they needed human connection, no matter how much of an introvert you are. So that's why I think, going back to the imagery all the way in the beginning of the death card, the death card, I'm not talking about plagues in general, but the death card itself is about a purification. So ending of a cycle is to make room for new cycles. That's why you got like the sun rising here. And you've got the, some of the white horse and the white flag, which kind of go through like a purification. I think that's what you have, is those who, when you have two paths you can go. You can do the I'm out of control, so I'll start to blame other people as best I can. Or you can do the I'm in this really in-between world that doesn't feel like my normal life, so I'm really going to do some soul searching and figure out what I want. For those who do that, that's kind of the new beginning that you're going to have, is life could theoretically go back to normal, but there's a lot of people who don't want it to go back to the old normal. They want it to be new and different for them, and then that's going to be almost like a grand awakening, I think, across the entire world, where lots of people will want to live life more fully, or live life differently, or really kind of figure out what they want to do that fills them up more emotionally from this time that we've had, if they take it as a gift. So in wrapping up, my thoughts around why we have these conspiracy theories like Plandemic and so forth coming out, is because some people, everyone's experiencing grief, everyone's experiencing a lack of control. Some people deal with it other ways, which is almost like this 5, the win the battle, lose the war, and others will use that as an opportunity, kind of like get in touch with their emotions, purify, and figure out what they want to do as far as how do they pull in what they need from their spiritual journey back into this world. And I think everyone has a choice which one you want to choose. But obviously, in the moments of high emotion and fear and uncertainty, some people are resonating with some of these conspiracy theories, even though I think it'd be better use or better service of your energy to, kind of go forward and kind of look at the other opportunities that you could have going on a spiritual journey. So if you like these kind of videos, make sure you subscribe and comment below your zodiac sign, and then turn on notifications.